Hello everyone, my name's Jeremy and I'm here from the Ahearn Equipment construction team. Today we've got 5 tips and tricks for you for your Kubota excavator when it throws a track or you're changing tracks. As you can see here, we have a Kubota KX121-3 excavator. It's about a 10,000 pound excavator and it has rubber tracks on it. In the shop, we've got it set up so that we've already taken a track off. But I know and you know that that track always falls off in the field. So today, I'm going to give you those 5 ways to make your life just a bit easier when you're changing that track. So tip number 1 is heat is your friend. You want your rubber tracks to be nice and warm when you install them on their machines. They're much more pliable that way. Now of course, we don't always have a nice shop to install tracks, but if you can, get your tracks inside and get them warmed up ahead of time. Sometimes this means putting them in the shop overnight or leaving them in the sun on some pavement. Warm tracks will slide onto an excavator much easier than cold rubber tracks, and it'll make your job that much more pleasurable. So tip number 2 is avoiding a mistake that we see from a lot of different people. When you're taking the track off, the name of the game is slack in trying to produce as much as you can. As many of you know, we have to loosen up the front idler and push it backwards. You don't want your machine too far off the ground right here. Mainly, you want the truck rollers to clear the bottom edge of the track by about a ½ inch, so that when you adjust your front idler, the sag of the track ends up on the ground. Now, why do we want this? Well, if you have your track frame up too high, the entire sag of the track hangs right here. And what it does is it tightens up the track on your idler and your drive sprocket. This will make it virtually impossible to pry it off both of those sides. So really, you want most of your sag to end up right on the floor here, and your floor to hold your track up. So don't raise your undercarriage up 2 feet or so. Leave it just off the ground so everything clears. You'll find it's a lot easier that way. Here's tip number 3. This is the 19mm grease zerk fitting that you need to take out so that you can compress the grease out of your front idler. This 19mm grease zerk is the same size on virtually all Kubota excavators. So once you unscrew this, you know that you have to compress this front idler. We'll go over the best way to do that in a minute, but here's one tip that you may not think about. Once you take that zerk out, grease is going to come flying out of this spot. Take a small rag and put the rag on the underside of that grease fitting. As all the grease comes out, the bulk of it will end up on the ground here, but you'll easily be able to take this rag out after, all right, and pull the rest of the grease out. If you don't put that rag there, you're going to have to use your hands to reach in and clean out all the grease afterwards. Tip number 4 involves creating slack in the track and working with that front idler. Now many of you have used the bucket of the excavator to push that idler in and create that slack. If you're lucky enough to have a Kubota excavator with an angle blade, we've found it's way easier to use the angle blade. What you typically do is find a block of wood and you can put it between the track and the blade and use that blade to push the idler back. We find that you get more control and it's just an easier process than using the bucket. Last tip of the day, when you're ready to pry that track off with a pry bar, you always want to pry on the idler side first. This side comes off first and then the sprocket side comes off second. When you're putting the new track on, you want to start with the sprocket side first and put the idler side on second. It's much easier because this is a smoother surface. So I hope you found some value in these 5 tips and tricks that we've brought to you today on changing the track on your Kubota excavator. All of the excavators from 5,000 pounds all the way up to 19,000 pounds in Kubota's fleet pretty much operate the same way. So you should be able to use these tricks for any of those machines.
Thank you for watching. For more information about our OEM and aftermarket tracks and undercarriage parts, which are available through our parts department, click the link in the description below. Make sure you like this video and subscribe to our channel for regular content. To keep up to date with Ahearn equipment, follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Have a great day.